Story 1. The Stranger at Deltopia. It was the Friday before Deltopia, and my friends and I were headed to Santa Barbara from our smaller UC campus. It was about a 2.5-hour drive, and the car was packed with the 5 of us. We were crammed into the car like sardines, all of us well over 6 feet tall, making the ride uncomfortably tight. Despite the cramped space, the drive was fun, with good conversation and music that made the time pass quickly. Once we arrived in Isla Vista, we hit a major snag: parking. Deltopia is so big that parking is a nightmare. After an hour of searching, Hunter worked his magic and managed to convince a sorority girl to let us park in her designated spot. We all laughed at how smoothly that went. Hunter's sister, a junior at UCSB, had agreed to let us crash at her place, which during Deltopia was a huge win. She and her roommates were incredibly chill, so we decided to party with them that night, even though Deltopia officially wouldn't start until the next morning. But there was one thing I needed to mention. Hunter had a friend, Amir. Calling him a friend was a bit of a stretch. Amir was one of those guys who clung to social groups without ever really fitting in. He was loud, insecure, constantly seeking attention, and somehow managed to make every conversation about himself. To be honest, none of us liked Amir much, especially after some messed up things he'd done in the past. A few months earlier, Amir had casually mentioned to Hunter that he'd be attending Deltopia, but there was no real talk of us meeting up or where he was staying. None of us were really expecting him to show up. However, as we were leaving the liquor store that night to grab supplies, we saw Amir, just standing on the curb, looking like he was waiting for us. None of us said anything, but as we walked towards the apartment, Amir casually fell into step beside us. It was awkward. "Why are you guys so surprised to see me?" Amir said, almost as if he had been with us the whole time. We all kind of ignored him, unsure of how to handle it. Things escalated quickly once we got back to the apartment. Amir asked if he could use the bathroom and then sprinted ahead when Hunter reluctantly agreed. When Hunter's sister answered the door, Amir just walked past her, stating, "I'm staying here," without waiting for a response. She had no idea who he was, so she assumed he was with us. When Hunter realized Amir had lied, he was furious. He told Amir that he needed to leave, and lying to his sister crossed a line. But Amir didn't leave quietly. He stood outside the door, trying to argue his way back in. Hunter wasn't the type to back down, so Amir finally took the hint and left. The night continued and we drank heavily, but Amir's presence was all we could talk about. Later, we realized that Hunter had been sharing his iPhone location with Amir, meaning Amir had literally stalked us to the apartment. The next day was everything we expected from Deltopia: chaotic fun. By the afternoon, the wildness had died down, and we were back at the apartment, recounting the Amir saga to our other friends. Ryland, one of our group, pulled out his phone and checked Amir's location. When he showed us the screen, the blue dot was literally on top of us. Amir was spying on us again, and as soon as we noticed, the dot started moving away quickly, as if Amir had been watching us from a car. It was bizarre and unsettling, but we still brushed it off, thinking it was just Amir's weird obsession. That night, after everyone had passed out drunk, I woke up to the sound of glass shattering. I shot out of bed and quickly realized no one else had heard it. I grabbed an empty wine bottle, my only makeshift weapon, and slowly crept toward the living room. When I reached the living room, I saw that the sliding door leading to the balcony had been shattered. A large rock sat on the floor, surrounded by broken glass. I didn't need to wonder. It was Amir. I was about to wake up my friends, when I noticed a closet door handle moving. My heart skipped. Amir had gone beyond vandalizing property. He had broken into the apartment. I froze, terrified. I was just about to open the closet door when I stopped myself. My better judgment told me to wake Hunter, so I did. The two of us carefully walked to the living room, and by the time we got there, the closet door was wide open. What we found in the closet made my stomach drop. Amir was standing behind the Yale door, holding a massive kitchen knife. He had been ready to hurt me, maybe even kill me, had I opened the door. I still can't believe how close I was to dying that night. Hunter and I woke the others, and we all searched the apartment to make sure Amir was gone. We called the police, but all they did was file a report. They weren't particularly surprised, given the rowdiness of Deltopia. The weird part: Amir stopped sharing his location with us after that. We couldn't even track him. We had no choice but to leave early the next morning, worried for Hunter's sister and her roommates. Before we got in the car, Hunter sent Amir a long message, but it never went through. Amir had already blocked him. We all checked our phones. We were blocked too. In the weeks that followed, Amir disappeared completely. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that he'll eventually show up again, and when he does, it might be far worse than anything we've experienced so far. Story 2. The Stalker at Deltopia. My name is Brian, and I have a story that still gives me chills whenever I think about it. This happened during my sophomore year at UC Santa Barbara. For those of you who are familiar, you know about Deltopia. It's a huge party weekend, full of chaos, drinking, and people from all over California gathering in Isla Vista for a crazy time. It was the Friday night before Deltopia, and my friends and I had already made the drive down from Santa Barbara. We were staying at my buddy Matt's apartment, which was just a couple of blocks away from the heart of all the festivities. We had a great night hanging out, pre-gaming, and getting ready for the big day. But something was off. One of our friends, Dave, who usually came to all the parties with us, didn't show up that night. We tried texting him, but he didn't reply. No big deal, we figured. He probably had a long night and was just sleeping it off. As the night wore on, though, we started to get strange feelings. We were in the middle of a card game when Matt suddenly froze. He pointed to the window and whispered, "Did anyone else hear that?" We all listened, but no one else had heard anything. Matt insisted he saw something moving outside the window, and we all crowded around to check. From what we could see, there was nothing out of the ordinary. However, just as we were about to brush it off, our phones started vibrating. It was a message from Dave. It read, "I can see you guys from the window of your apartment. I'm outside." We all laughed it off at first, thinking he was being playful. But as we looked out the window again, we saw a dark figure standing across the street, watching our building. It was too far away to tell who it was, but we assumed it was Dave. We waved, trying to get his attention, but the figure didn't respond. By then, it had already gotten late, and we decided to call it a night. We locked up, turned off the lights, and went to bed. The next morning, everything felt wrong. We were all groggy and hungover, but as we opened the door to leave, we noticed something odd. The sliding glass door to the balcony was wide open, and it had been locked the night before. As we stepped outside to investigate, we saw that someone had left a note on the balcony railing. It was addressed to Matt, and it simply read, "I was here. Next time, don't ignore me." We couldn't figure out how Dave, or anyone, could have gotten into the apartment without us noticing. We never saw him again that weekend, and we even reported the incident to the police, but they just shrugged it off. To this day, I still don't know who was really outside our apartment that night. Was it Dave? Or was someone stalking us the entire time? Story 3. The abandoned house on Route 45. My name is Sarah, and this happened during a road trip I took with a friend of mine, Jess. We were both from the East Coast, but we decided to spend our summer traveling across the country. It was supposed to be a fun adventure, but it turned into a nightmare that I'll never forget. We were driving down Route 45, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Nevada. It was a hot, dry day, and we were getting pretty tired of the endless stretch of empty road. We hadn't seen a town or gas station for miles, and the radio had been nothing but static for hours. Eventually, we spotted something odd in the distance. There was an old, decrepit house sitting just off the road. It looked abandoned, but there was a car parked in the driveway. We debated whether or not to stop. It was clear the house hadn't been lived in for years, but curiosity got the best of us, and we decided to check it out. As we pulled up to the house, we noticed something strange. The car in the driveway looked brand new, almost too perfect for a place like this. We both got out of the car, feeling uneasy, but wanting to see what was inside. The house had no fence, and the door was wide open. We hesitated for a moment before Jess pushed the door further open. The inside was eerily quiet. Dust covered the furniture, and the air smelled stale. But there was something even stranger. The house looked like it had been recently lived in. We walked through the rooms, but all we found was more dust and old furniture. It was as if the place had been frozen in time, but it didn't feel abandoned at all. Then we heard something that sent a chill down my spine. The sound of footsteps coming from upstairs. I froze, heart racing. Jess heard it too. We looked at each other, then slowly made our way to the staircase. We called out, thinking it might be a hiker or someone who had wandered into the house, but there was no answer. With the sound of the footsteps growing closer, we turned and ran out of the house. As we reached the car, I glanced back one last time. I swear I saw a shadow in one of the windows. We drove away as fast as we could, but I still can't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I don't know who or what was in that house, but I'm certain it wasn't just someone passing through. To this day, I can't drive through that area without feeling a sense of dread.